here there's no snow. I came here 5 days ago, and we had blizzard 2 days before I came here, so it's like summer here. I don't think I'd want to live here. Where would I go? What I learned is that any kind of nuclear energy, uranium mining, atomic bomb testing happen in Aboriginal land. And it's the Aboriginals that suffer. I wondered, why is that? Uranium mining doesn't happen in the middle of the city or somewhere in your backyard.
Our organization is Nunavummiut Makitagunarningit. We call ourselves Makita for short. It means people can stand up.
It's just a group of people who share a perspective on a social issue and have decided to work collectively to learn more, research their position, and articulate their position to decision makers.
I think there's a real sense that mining is the answer to all of Nunavut's problems. It's going to create economic activity. Once there's money here, the unemployment issue will be solved, and once people have jobs, then there won't be so many suicides, and people will stay in school, and it's just going to be great. And I don't think mining will be the answer to everything, especially uranium mining.
Nunavut is new, and there's a lot of shortage of money, and I feel that our government is accepting any kind of projects, especially for mining industry, that they are accepting without really going into see if there's going to be a harm socially or have a negative impact on our environment, our health, the whole bit. Same thing with our Aboriginal organization, regional organization, and NTI, because they have a direct commercial interest with the land use revenues and royalties.
And all the organizations created by the land claim have come into effect. And what that means is that you have a sort of new managerial elite. The MTI executive, for example, who are inclined, for a number of reasons, to, at this point, they seem inclined to go into business with any mining company that will go into business with them. And so in the 1980s, the Inuit leadership globally, like across the Arctic, took principled anti-nuclear positions. If you look at the ICC Arctic policy, for example, against nuclear testing in the Arctic, against the station of nuclear weapons in the Arctic, against nuclear power in the Arctic, against uranium mining in the Arctic, and against the disposal of nuclear waste in the Arctic. Textbook anti-nuclear positions. That was at sort of at the ICC level, which is somewhat abstracted from, it's like some of the brightest people around the Arctic, people like Mary Simon, Arkalulunga, it's this kind of person who has that say. Once you have these regional governments set up, these regional administrations like NTI and the Nunavut government, you get regional elites who they don't care about that stuff. I'm not saying they're in favor of trashing the environment, but they actually believe the federal government line that this stuff is great and totally safe. And it can't possibly end up in weapons. And even we need nuclear power to stop global warming. It's completely ridiculous. Anybody with a brain who examines the issue will find out nuclear power can make if we were able to ramp up nuclear energy around the world by 1,000 times in the next 10 years, it would have a negligible impact in global warming. It's just ridiculous to make that argument, but NTI makes that argument. Although there's an interesting contradiction. They were part of the ITK position opposing the storage of the waste from nuclear power plants in the Arctic. So on the one hand, it's great, it's safe, and we need it, NTI says, but on the other hand, we don't want to store the waste on our land, which, if you wanted to be dark about it, we believe in uranium mining and nuclear power as long as the high-level waste ends up on somebody else's land, which is the opposite of the kind of principled position that the Inuit leadership took in the 80s. They're entitled to take it, but there are a lot of people in this society, both Inuit and non-Inuit, who are appalled, especially because there's been no public debate or vote.
As you know, mining industry is very rich. They can do all kinds of things for PR and how to advertise for what they want. When they have public meetings, they have many prizes to give out, and when they meet with the elders, same thing, they give out little prizes, and just a little things like Inuit appreciating in soften their heart, and Inuit has always been so generous. They like to share what they have. There has been other issues that used to convert Inuits' minds to accept uranium mining industry is people coming and telling us with this global warming, we have to convert eventually into nuclear energy, which a little tube like that, they pass around a little tube with this. It can support all the power you need for the next 5 years, stuff like that. But they fail to explain to go into nuclear energy, all the other regulations you have to go through and all the other risks. Maybe it'll be next 40 years before Nunavut can go into nuclear energy. Who knows?
The current mindset in Nunavut seems to be that we're any and all development will mining development will take place in Nunavut. If you speak up, ask questions, then you're against economic development for Nunavut. You're against me getting a job, me getting contracts as a spin-off economic activity for mining. So there's a real sense that you can't speak or ask questions on any kind of mining activity in Nunavut. No matter what kind of mining activity it is, as uranium is, as I said, a highly risk activity, why can't we say, okay, let's put that off the table, let's not go there. We'll consider other mining activity, let's not do uranium. We have the ability to do that. But the discussion or the current, I don't know what you call it, mindset seems to be, as soon as you ask questions, you're seen as against development in Nunavut, which for me, which is a really frustrating state of our political situation, because, as I said, Nunavut was supposed to be including people, including hearing different points of view about debate. Well, that's what I thought Nunavut was about. But personally, I think right now there's almost the few elected. I don't even know who's controlling the dialogue on mining, but there seems to be a few that are that just have a hold on what happens, and it's almost a totalitarian system where you're either for us or against us, and that's not democracy.
I'm in capital of Nunavut, Iqaluit. Tonight I will be at the Arctic Ventures store, talking to people about the concerns we have in my hometown, Baker Lake. We have a lot of uranium exploration. One company has put in for a proposal for many projects, 6 major projects. We are requesting to the Legislative Assembly of Nunavut for thorough inquiry to see if uranium mining in Nunavut is safe. So tonight we will collect petitions for support, and I'm going around in the city posting notices so people will know.
The petition is basically stating there has to be a process where people have an opportunity to be informed, discuss, and then decide whether Nunavut should take part in uranium mining. We hope that as a result of this process that there'll be a motion in the Legislative Assembly for an inquiry to happen.
And so we're hoping that one of the MLAs will be, or 2 of the MLAs, because one has to move it, the other second it, will introduce a motion calling for a public inquiry into all aspects of uranium mining, the full range, not the narrow technical project specific, how thick should the liner be in the tailings pond, but the whole question of the implications of opening Nunavut up to uranium mining. Our position being, and this was Joan articulated this in the late 80s, that the review isn't really about just Kigavik, yes or no. Because if Kigavik goes ahead, it will be politically impossible to stop other uranium mines. And therefore, we need to think about the cumulative impact of all the uranium mines that will logically, foreseeably happen. And we already, Areva has told the media that I think they were saying 17 years of operation at Kigavik, but we'll have this nice mill there, so if there's another uranium mine built, you could just truck the ore to our mill and you wouldn't have to build a mill, so it makes it economically more viable. Makes perfect sense. except that means not just another mine, but a road. And where does it end? How many mines and how many roads can the caribou stand before it has an impact on them? How many mines can Baker Lake stand? I mean, the operation of the Meadowbank gold mine, bring that in, which has been an excellent thing for Baker Lake. In an overall sense, nobody thinks Meadowbank hasn't been good for Baker Lake. It's already tapped out the labor market. They're flying workers in from Arviat. So what will be the additional benefit to the community from a second mine, or the fifth mine, or the ninth mine? Because there's that much gold and uranium and other stuff all around Baker Lake. It's amazing. You look at the mineral map of the Kivalik region, it's a treasure house. And somebody has to think about how much development can the community stand and how much development can the caribou stand. And the critical question is opening the region to uranium mining, yes or no. Arguably, you could have enough gold mines, which are pretty ugly things in themselves in terms of the tailings that are left behind. You could employ most of the region and fuel a small business economy just with gold mines. We don't need to go to uranium mining. Why not hold off for a generation and see what happens?
I see what's happening in Nunavut as hangover from the colonial era, where the only dialogue on training that's happening is training for basically laborers in the mining industry. And I say that we're a lot more capable than that as a people. We're an intellectually sophisticated group of people. Let's invest on the minds of our young people so that our young people are confident in their culture, their language, who they are, and to create an economy that's knowledge-based, not just the shoveler in the mine. That's where we are, and the only rhetoric that's happening is that the mining is the answer, and that the only intellectual capacity we believe the Inuit have is to be laborers in the mines. No, we're much more capable than that as a people. That if I were to send a message, that's the message that I would want to send.
Ka upak si maga kiare